Ich begrüße Sie alle ganz herzlich. Hello everyone to this discussion session under the title La théorie des jeux et l'intelligence artificielle. So we decided to speak in English because I guess not everybody speaks French. So the title in translation would be The Game Theory and Artificial Intelligence. And I have the immense pleasure to have the philosopher Anna Longo here with me. She has been doing research at the Sorbonne Université à Paris and was teaching philosophy also in Los Angeles. She's a specialist in aesthetics and also metaphysics and epistemology. And the reason why we invited her to this festival on games and play is that she wrote this extremely interesting book, which is called Le jeu de l'induction, automatisation de la connaissance et réflexion philosophique. And I give a short, what I take to be the point, a résumé of what I take to be the point of the book, and then we start the conversation with her and afterwards with the audience, with you. Just already a teaser, this is the first part of this conversation. We will continue the conversation tomorrow in the beginning of the afternoon with the second session on the book. So in this book, Anna Longo makes a very interesting connection between the debates and the practices of artificial intelligence that we all know from today and the scientific endeavor that is called game theory, so mathematical game theory, which was developed in the beginning of the 20th century. I take to be the main point the idea that in the debates and in the contemporary scientific debates, and especially the debates on artificial intelligence, there is a certain conception of what it means to be a rational agent, a certain conception of knowledge, a certain conception of rationality in general, of what it means to know something, to produce knowledge and scientific content. And this very specific conception of what it is to be intelligent has its main source in the mathematical game theory, which was developed in the beginning of the 20th century. And the key concept maybe of this conception of what it is to be intelligent is the concept of information. To produce knowledge, to be rational, to be intelligent means to be able to operate, to proceed information, and more specifically, information that allows me to do predictions, to predict events, happenings, that are in an uncertain world. So in a world full of uncertainty, we always, when we have to make choices, when we have to decide something, we have to base our choices on something like predictive hypotheses, on predictions. And the main conception, or the conception what it is to be intelligent, that is dominating today, the discourse on artificial intelligence, is this. To be intelligent means to be able to produce these hypotheses of prediction based on the information you are working on. And maybe this just as a short overview, and in the book you develop the history of this conception of rationality, of this conception of intelligence as a production of information, and you show also the limits of this conception, the weaknesses, the problems where they lead to, and you also propose what could be an alternative or an alternative conception of intelligence, which goes beyond the production of information. So we're going to talk tomorrow about the alternative conception of intelligence, but today we're going to focus on just the analysis and the critique of this conception of intelligence that dominates the discourses of artificial intelligence of today. So I would like to start with the question which is at the basis of your book. Well, what is the game theory? What is the mathematical theory of games?
Thank you, Christoph. Thank you, everybody. So yes, I'm gonna introduce game theory as it was mathematized by von Neumann and Morgenstern in 1940. It's the first axiomatization, if you like, of game theory. The title of the book was Game Theory and Economic Behaviors. So the idea is that this theory of rationality in game theory is the same theory of rationality which supports the theory of the economic agent. So they are connected since the beginning. The reason is that the goal is to maximize utility. So it's no more game theory like combinatory, or it's no more game theory like playing or this free way of interacting for pleasure. It's a rational theory of games. So the goal is to maximize utility. The main concept is the notion of equilibrium of a game. The equilibrium of a game is the situation where all the agents play the best possible strategy with respect to the strategy of all the others. This is the idea is that agents can predict each other's behavior, so anybody can provide the best answer to the anticipation of the action of the other. So, for example, in a game of chess, usually the two players have some information which is available, which is the position of the pieces on the chessboard. And starting from the elaboration of this information, they can anticipate each other's moves. So there are moves which are rational and moves which are not. So according to von Neumann and Morgenstern, provided some information and provided some axioms of rationality, agents can predict each other's behavior and they can respond appropriately to each other moves or to each other actions. And this is at the basis or at the ground of the theory of the market equilibrium. So in the market equilibrium, the idea is that economic agents are in a situation of equilibrium. That means that anybody is playing the best strategy with respect to the strategy of all the others because they can process correctly the information which is provided by prices on the market. Anybody has a different utility, of course, but anybody is in the situation of maximizing utility. So this is the basic of game theory and why for me it's interesting. So today it's really a basis of many, many things.
So maybe just to put it in other words, the mathematical game theory tried to calculate the best strategies in such competitive games. No, I mean this is the paradigm is always a game where players, agents play against each other. And the idea was, is there a mathematical solution of what is the best strategy for, in a way, what is the solution of the game, right?
Yes, and then the idea is not that anybody will win, of course. The idea is that anybody has the same chances of winning. So it's like in chess, no one will win and the other will lose. But if they are rational, if they are both rational, they have the same chances of winning. So the difference is, so we're talking about a fair game. A fair game is a game where anybody has the same chances as anybody else of winning, if they are rational. And we suppose these axioms of rationality. Then the problem is to define what is rationality and also what kind of information we need. So if we know we have the same information, so sharing information, the same information is a condition. If one has more information than the other, of course, it doesn't work. So it's really important also to define how much information we need. So in the market competition, in the classic theory, prices are supposed to convey all the necessary information, and they are public and anybody can rely on them. Then it's no more true.
What I find so fascinating in how you reconstruct this story is that somehow the mathematical analysis of a highly idealized situation, a very simple game, is taken to be the model for very, very highly complex social behaviors, like the behavior of agents in the economy, but also very, very well known is the Cold War situation. No? The threats between the United States and the Soviet Union, the threat with the atomic bomb, was immediately people, scientists, try to understand this bargaining, this menacing, as a kind of game, another application of this kind of game. And so the game was somehow the model to define what it is to be a rational agent in general. No, that seems to be the line. No.
Yes, of course. There is a theory of conventions, no, which is based on game theory, and this theory of convention is that we agree to a situation of equilibrium, which is a situation where we are playing the best strategies, which means that if just one deviates, everybody will lose. So in the situation of a Cold War, this means that if just one deviates from the idea of sending a bomb, everybody will lose. So they are rational because we are just keeping a situation where everybody has some utility which is satisfied. So there is no interest in deviating from the behavior.
And how would you now make the connection to the contemporary debate about artificial intelligence? So
I think that the artificial intelligence is based on the theory of the rational agent. So the model of a rational agent that has been elaborated since von Neumann and Morgenstern, and then it has been modified historically. Anyway, this model of a rational agent is the same, which is informing artificial intelligence. So if you think at the way in which algorithms work, they work in order to maximize utility. So we take an example like the Facebook algorithm. The idea is that it's proceeding information from people interacting in the platform. The goal of the algorithm is, for example, to keep a person attached to the platform. So yes, to provide the information that the person wants. In order to do this, it tries to anticipate the moves, anticipate what is the utility, which are the preferences. The idea is to provide the information that will stimulate some reactions. And the thing is reciprocal, so we think that it's always the algorithm who is manipulating us, but we are always conscious about the existence of the algorithm, no? So we say, okay, I want that my content will be spread, so I know what I have to do. So I know, for example, that the algorithms prefer videos and they prefer that I express myself a lot. So it's a kind of double game between the algorithm and the agent, where the agents want to maximize his own utility, which is to spread his own contents, for example, and the algorithm tries to maximize its own utility, which is to keep people attached to the platform and, of course, to propose advertising.
So in a way, when all the hopes and these sometimes completely futuristically sounding discourses about artificial intelligence, about computers, that the idea that computers and machine learning will will soon be more, or is already more performative, more powerful in thinking than human beings are, and that this artificial intelligence will somehow go beyond what human beings are capable of. Your point is to say all these intelligent machines are intelligent only insofar as they behave like players in a game, in a competitive game, right? They are just programmed in order to maximize a certain utility after the model of the mathematical game theory.
Yeah, so I think they are modeled as rational agents, and the difference is information. Meaning that in classic game theory, a fair game is a game where anybody has the same chances of winning. But the assumption is that we have to share the same quantity of information, no? The problem with artificial intelligence is that there is a disparity of information. So what artificial intelligence knows is not what we know. So we can make decisions based on the information that we have, which is partial. And artificial intelligence is capable of making decisions based on the anticipation of the behavior of all the users of a platform, for example, which I don't know. So there is an advantage. And also an advantage which is economically strategical, meaning that one can pay for obtaining the service, the treatment of information which is offered by algorithms in order to make better decisions than the decisions of the others. And this is evident, for example, in finance, no? In finance today, it's not just a matter of looking at the prices on the market because they are not informative at all, or they are not completely informative. But there is a lot of information which is pertinent, no? An algorithm who can predict people behavior, the opinions, much better than singular people. And so this is a disparity, and this is also a reason why the economic game today is no more a fair game. Yeah.
So, are there comments or questions from your side, from the public, on these ideas that Anna Longo and presented now? Yes, please. Do I give him the?
Is it all right? Yes. Just maybe a question about, it seems to me that games are quite difficult to really define. If we take something out of this mathematical theory of let's say, probabilistic games between people. So, I guess the point here is to really talk about these inductive games that predict what the other people will do. But somehow I'm just curious about exactly the status of the game in how you interpret, let's say, economic or social phenomena. Is it a model? Is it a metaphor? How close are we to a real game? Or how is it just a way of making clear or to illustrate, or, yeah, that would be the question.
Yeah, so it's a theory. For example, when there are moments in history in which the theory of game and reality are the same. So, for example, in the 70s, when Milton Friedman proposed this theory of the equilibrium, with a prediction of aleatory or random movement of prices, then it was really describing reality, because everybody expected the others to behave according to the theory, so there is a belief in the validity of a prediction that makes that the prediction is correct. And then there are moments in which this does not work, no? Meaning that humans have this capacity of, anytime there is an axiomatic, it's always possible to produce something which is not decidable, no undecidable statement. So when we have a market which is behaving in a predictable way, in some way, it's always possible to make speculations about the general behavior and that what happened, no? And that's why the equilibrium was disrupted. No, we had a lot of economic crises and very strange behaviors and crises. So today we have a new kind of game theory, which is describing the situation. It's no more the classic game theory, where anybody is behaving rationally and anybody can predict the behavior of the others. But it's called evolutionary game theory. It's based on the theory of evolution, so it's a sort of strange representation of evolution as a competition. And it's a competition where innovation is important. So the innovator will win, because it will develop behavior which are more efficient than the behaviors of the others. And then there is a selective pressure. So more competitive behavior are selected and other behaviors will disappear. So today we moved with the theory of economic growth. We are moving toward evolutionary game theory, because in classic game theory, where there is this fair equilibrium, there is no growth. So anybody is stuck in the best behavior, no? They select the best behavior and they keep on going in the same way. So there is stagnation, no? So to have growth, we need another economic theory which is based on innovation and selective pressure. So the best strategies are selected and they reproduce until another best strategy is optimal.
Are there other questions?
I have a very stupid question, because everything goes so bad, we can see worldwide. Yeah. And how you describe things, it sounds like it helps this to use these theories. And would it be working everything even more bad if people would not work with these theories, or is it more a description? Or is it, you know what I mean? Is it do you say that by using these theories, things have the opportunity to be solved? Or is it more we analyze what we see?
No, so it's. I mean, things are going bad because, as I said before, information today is a commodity, and the value is relative to the possibility that it offers to make decisions which are better than the decisions of a people who does not have enough information. So, for example, big companies who have data set, they have advantages that we don't have. So any decision I make as an economic agent is not efficient enough because I don't have all the information which is needed. And all the information which is needed is it's sold, so it has a price. And not anybody can afford. So the scandals with Facebook or with Amazon or with Google is that there is a disparity of information. And if we want to make decisions which are actually winning decisions, we need to pay to get that information. And anytime we try to get information, like using platforms for free, as we do, we cannot make any decision without platforms, without the internet, without support today. Anytime we try to be helped by algorithm in order to orient ourselves in this kind of forest, ocean of information, we also produce new information. So we get some information, we produce new information, but the new information that we produce is collected and used privately. So there is always this kind of gap, this kind of dissymmetry. And I think this is one of the reasons of the problems. It's not the main reason, but it's one of the reasons. It explains in some way.
Maybe to add something to your response, your question was maybe also more basic about your stance as your own philosophical theory with regard to these game theories, right? And I would say you describe very well that these game theories started as a description of reality, but they became something like a norm for economical behavior. They became something that informed the economical practice and other practices. They informed today's practice and theory of artificial intelligence. And you are very clear in saying this is a very narrow and limited conception of what it is to be intelligent, of what it is to be rational. So the point of your book is not to say, wow, we have a wonderful theory that explains how economy works, but the point of your book is to say there is a very problematic and narrow and limited conception of intelligence that has informed a huge amount of science and practice of the 20th century, and which is based on game theory, and which leaves out a huge part of what it actually is to be a rational agent, a human, to have human rationality.
Yeah, at least intelligence or reason cannot be reduced to rationality,
or to this, let's say, calculation.
There is a lot more than this.
And as the time is advancing, I want to say that tomorrow, in the beginning of the afternoon, we're going to continue the debate in talking about the critique and the limits of this conception of nationality, and to see, so what would be a more rich, a more complete, a more integral conception of rationality, and there the concept of play.
Yes, of course.
And not of game, maybe.
So how to exit the global game,
Yeah. So thank you very much for this first.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.